What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with Regan rhymes. A few pictures of him are floating around on Instagram on all the bodybuilding media. I'm just letting you guys know that they must be from his prep in 2023. He looks extremely good in all these pictures. And the fact that he has now announced it twice already, that he isn't looking to compete in 2024 at all. He said that he needs to make some more improvements before getting back up on that stage, because the ultimate goal is to be in that first call out at the Olympia level. And I have to say it was a very realistic assessment by him, that the chances of him cracking top 6 or getting a comparison with those top guys at the Olympia level this year, they were very minimal, because he felt like he hasn't made enough improvements in this last offseason after the Olympia 2023 to crack top 6 just yet. And I have to say that assessment was correct. Now this physique update however could be a very recent one, as you guys can see that this is an off-season condition, and I just gotta say, Regan in this video looks absolutely massive. And I believe that people are a little unfair towards him by saying that he doesn't look good on the stage compared to his Instagram pictures. I mean, the guy was absolutely shredded at last year's Mr. Olympia, truly one of the best conditioning of his life, and he actually suffered really hard to get into that kind of conditioning. For those of you guys who do not know, Regan was actually doing less than 100 carbs during the final few weeks of his Olympia prep. And for a guy with that kind of frame who is that huge, that is just nuts. So the question now is, can he be in the first call out at the Olympia level next year? Maybe he can be, but as Jay Cutler said, he needs to be laser focused on just one thing, and that is bodybuilding, nothing else. Because Jay Cutler also had that same mindset when he was up and coming. So originally Regan was prepping for this upcoming Van Pro, but he had some sort of a stomach issue. Plus, he's gonna become a father very soon. So let's see how much improvements can he make during this whole off-season, and we will see him back on the bodybuilding stage sometime in 2025. Dominic Cardone, Patrick Moore's coach, published new updates of Patrick today. So first of all, I have to say that the looks that we have seen from Patrick in the last few years, they have been kinda disappointing. Well, let's just give the credit where it's due. As of right now, he looks really big, and at the same time very lean as well. And here's the thing, these guys are looking to compete anytime soon. So there is plenty of time for Patrick to keep putting on more size and close those gaps in his physique. So the Patrick that we saw in Chicago Pro last year, that was the biggest version of him to date. But sadly, he just wasn't in shape for that show. Otherwise, I think he could have definitely been in the mix and possibly fight for the title as well. So Patrick was probably the most classic guy when he first came onto the scene in the men's open bodybuilding, and that was back in 2019. And the great thing about his physique even today is the fact that the waistline is still the same as it was in the past. He still has a very small, very tiny waistline. So we cannot really say why he stopped working with Chris Aceto after doing only a few shows with him, because the kind of conditioning that he brought back in 2019, especially at the Olympia, that was easily the best of his entire pro career. And Patrick hasn't been able to qualify for Mr. Olympia in these last few years. But this year he is coming in already to step back on the biggest bodybuilding stage. So let's see what show he does next. Because I have to say that competition this year, that is really fierce. And even the chances of qualifying for the Olympia, especially for some of these guys, they are gonna be kinda slim. Well, let's see what kind of package he brings this time around. Quinton beats first look for the New York Pro 2024. That is a proof that the concept of over-dieting is 100% real. And sometimes doing 2 hours of cardio every single day, that can be counterproductive as well. And that is exactly what happened to Quinton. Because if you guys remember, up until 2 weeks out of the show, the guy was looking scary big. And then something happened in those final few weeks where he lost all the pop, all the fullness. He started to appear really flat, and eventually he paid the price on the stage. But I have to say, Quinton's and Matt Jensen's decision of not going forward with California Pro this past weekend, that was definitely a good move, as all you guys can see that he's still trying to regain all his muscle, all the fullness that he lost. He is again looking really big now, although he isn't there just yet, but he is well on his way to present a much better and superior package in 2 weeks' time. And I believe it is more than likely that Quinton is gonna look many times better in Toronto compared to what we saw at the New York Pro, because everything that could have gone wrong actually did went wrong for these guys. So I believe he's gonna be bigger, rounder, which is only gonna enhance his aesthetics, his V-taper, and that is exactly what we all wanna see. But all that being said, unless he proves himself against the likes of Akeem Williams, who is most probably gonna be his biggest competition here at Toronto Pro. There are gonna be even more doubts this time that whether he is still big enough or does he still needs more time. Other than the fact that Beef Stew had a horrible time for Cali Pro, he is pretty much satisfied with the look that he brought to the stage this past weekend at California Pro. So could that tan make such a huge difference in his look on the stage that he got beat by two guys who were unable to beat him at the Near Pro just a week before that? And those two guys are Christian Wolski and Emir. Maybe it did make that much of a difference, because we all know his tan looked way better at the Near Pro compared to what he looked like at Cali Pro. So what is next for Beef Stew? Well, Vancouver Pro is happening in 7 weeks time, and Stewart has decided to compete at that show. Plus, he is gonna do Chicago Pro as well. And I believe this is what's gonna take for Stuart Sutherland to get to the Olympia stage. He needs to compete more, keep showing up, and there is a chance that the guy he is trying to beat show up a little bit off, and that can be his window. So he knows he needs to make more improvements in order to stand out in shows which has deeper lineups, like the one we had at the New York Pro. But he isn't done with this season, because he wants to qualify for the Olympia this year and see where he stands against the best of the best. Next up, we have a physique update from Martin-Fitzwater. So the man is in the rest and the recovery phase. He's relaxing right now, and that is going to be the case for the next 2 weeks, which is certainly going to be a challenge for him, as he is one of the hardest working athletes out there. Not to mention one of those guys who trains extremely hard in the entire pro league right now. But in terms of the PEDs and the gear, his system needs to reset. He needs to detox, because he has been prepping for a very long time. Because Martin was originally aiming for the Arnold Classic Ohio, and looking at how he performed in both Detroit Pro as well as the New York Pro, I believe his application should have been accepted. But I'm sure he is gonna be right up there next year. So Martin started his prep way back in 2023. So before he jumps back into another prep, before he shifts the gears once again for his first ever Mr. Olympia, he needs some rest time. So Martin doing this year's New York Pro, that was the best decision that he could have made. And this is something that we rarely see. Because as soon as the guys are done with their Olympia qualification, as soon as they get that, they shut it down and go back into another off-season. But Martin kept on going. And just take a look at his stocks right now, as this is just gonna be his Olympia debut. And he has been the talk of the town for the last 2 weeks. The impact that he had on the judges as well as on the general bodybuilding fans by placing a very close second place to Nick Walker, that was way more massive than him beating a very impressive good veto at Detroit Pro. And just think about it. We are more than 2 weeks past the New York Pro, and people are still discussing that 1-point victory between him and Nick Walker at the New York Pro. So the question is he going to be a factor in that top 6 at the Olympia this year? If you guys ask me, I think he can be in those 8th, 9th, and 10th spots. But cracking top 6, that is going to be kind of difficult, because we have so many big names fighting for those top spots. But do let me know what you guys think. How high can he place at the Olympia level? And also hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video, and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.